Okay, folks, welcome to Wednesday evening. I don't even know what day of the week it is. Does it really matter? Not really. Okay, so we put together our forces here for the Constantinian Byzantine project, and we black based them yesterday. And I was persistent in trying to find where the hell my Armenians were, and I found them. They were not where they were supposed to be. I actually found out I had more figures than I thought I had. I mean, I knew I had all these figures. They weren't where they were supposed to be. So, we got to take care of something right now. We need to make sure this is tight. Let's look at the roof. This needs to be tight like this. Okay, now we can move this around. Let's tighten it there. Now we'll remount this. Told you, this is totally unedited. This is a reality show right here, unlike all the other crap you guys get on TV. Okay, here we go. So I found all these figures here, and it is one of the vendors that we have at the show has I'm not really sure if he has a hobby shop or not, or he used to have one, but he had this thing where he would buy Old Glory figures and he would make his own DBA armies from them. And one of them was the Cilician Armenians. And I have this is a Cilician Armenian army that I got, I don't know, probably 15 years ago. Didn't do a damn thing with them. They're all Old Glory figures. And I need 2 stands of Armenian spear for this Byzantine army. And that's what we're going to do. We're deciding what figures we're going to use. And we're going to drill them out. Because Old Glory Spearmen come in 2 different flavors. And I'll show this to you right here. This is a perfect example. I moved the other Spearman out of the way, didn't I? No, there's one right here. This is an Old Glory Spearman. Look at his spear is cast on. And from one side, it looks very rustic, almost like a flat piece of bar. And it looks thin from this one. So it almost looks like he's a 2x4 he's carrying it. Now, it stinks because it has that shape, but it's pretty solid. They tend to not bend. The other variety, which I believe they started making later, is like this particular guy right here. And he has a bendy ass spear that's more to scale, but it bends extremely easy. So these need to be replaced, or they're just not going to get very far. So that's what we're doing. We're taking this figure here, and we just drilled out his hand. And I figured, okay, well, we found all this stuff. Let's go ahead and go live and do it. Australian Greg, there he is. Australian Greg. Now I need to find where the hell my spears are. My bag of, this is the bag you don't want to drop on the ground because you end up finding it with your feet, and it's bad news. This is all really organized in a cart. The problem is I have too much stuff in it. That's why I went to this show and I didn't buy any figures. What the hell would I do with more figures? It would just create more chaos. So, I already know one thing we're going to need. We're going to need this, and we're going to need a file. Because we're going to be using real live needles. I call them needles. They might be pins. They might be all kinds of different things. Well, it won't be those. Let's see what we've got. And we're going to need 8 of them. And they're not going to be, see, these are longer like lances. We're going to save these for some of the lances. Here we go. Here's the pin department. Maybe we have a metric ton of these things. That's the ones we're looking for. They come in these nice little boxes. And believe it or not, these actually are not made in China. These were bought before the embargo, so I could have Chinese stuff. But they are not made in China. And they come with a little... And this thing is like freaking $2 or something like that. For like 50 of these. I think there's 50 of them in here. I gotta be careful because these are live. And let's look at the length of these. I think this is gonna be about the right length for these spears. Yes. All right, so let's grab 8 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's put these away before I drop one and step on it. Real live pins, yes, they will draw blood. But what I do with this stuff, see, I don't like wire. Some people use metal wire, but when you end up snipping it, the other end ends up being dangerous also. So we're just going to go through. And file the end a little bit. Doesn't take more than that. And now, I mean, you know, if you fall on the thing, yeah, it's going to go into your finger. But otherwise, you know, you're not going to prick yourself by accident. Go prick yourself. Oh, yeah, we got people here. What do we got here? Welcome, welcome. Mr. Collins. Hope you're well. Spent most of the day replacing spears on my Sumerians by coincidence. That's what you are doing also. That's correct. You have a double Cilician Armenian army with a Seljuk Turk ally that I built for big battle DBA under 3.0. Gotta go. Lorraine wants her breakfast. Okay, that's why I make sure that the missus is the one that cooks. I could make a breakfast, but you wouldn't want to eat it. Now here's the thing. I think I would be good at cooking. I already have a hobby that takes forever to do. I lived alone 11 years and never cooked. I also didn't go hungry. I can assemble the living shit out of things. Like a salad. I have a salad every day that I assemble in the morning. Sandwiches, you know. I just don't think that doing dinner should take an hour. Between the time you cook, you eat it, and you put away, that's just not my idea of a good time. Okay, so we have all these here. Now we're going to take the back ends of them, and this is where we go flying. This is where they go flying. We take this pair of nippers that probably dates, it's probably as old as I am. It's something that my dad had. Oh, didn't even make a sound. Okay. So anyway, some people use wire. The problem with wire is it has a jagged edge on it. And I've been poked in the finger with a jagged end of a wire. And, you know, it's not a big deal. It just scares the living crap out of you. You're not expecting that. There we go. That's the sound we were expecting to hear. And these are about 8-10 foot long spears, something like that. What do we got? Maybe 8 foot long spears. And these are supposed to be 2 spearmen that are Armenians. Now the nice thing is this army is going to have all kinds of elements from other armies just in its nature. So that if I decide to build those other armies, I'll already have a foothold on some of the troop types that are done. 2 stands of Normans. I've got 3 lice horse stands for the Seljuk Turks. Seljuk Turks were one of those armies that I planned on building. I got the figures super cheap. Super cheap. like $1 a pack. And even though they are all one pose, you know, I don't mind building a Seljuk Turk army. And within months of getting it, Luke bought a Seljuk Turk army on eBay, because unlike us that paint, they have to buy whatever's people are selling. So, you know, you may want to build a such and such army, but if nobody's selling it and you're not a painter, your life is in other people's hands. And the nice thing about this stuff is you don't have to worry about these. They'll never bend on you. You got to be really rough with them to bend the hand. Really rough. It can be done, but you know, you still have to be careful with the figures. All right, we got 8 of these spears. Let's put this away. Let's leave it here on the table so we won't need it. Byzantine flags are the coolest. Are they? But are they really? They should be, but... So I've done a little bit of Byzantine research, and here's what I've come up with on Byzantine flags. There's a typical Byzantine flag that you think of that is there's a red flag with a yellow cross on it. And then in each corner, it's got kind of a symbol. It looks kind of like a C. That's for the Paleologan dynasty. And the Paleologan dynasty, for those of you guys who are not Byzantine experts, that's basically the guys when, you know, the Byzantines were kind of minding their own business, so to speak. And they called on the Fourth Crusade. And the Fourth Crusade decided to make us, you know, one of the stops over at Constantinople and take it over. So they knocked the Byzantines out. And the Byzantines were, the royal family kind of went in hiding. There's lots of really interesting things happen. One guy got captured and got sent away. Another guy got blinded. Just real soap opera stuff. The Byzantine history stuff is crazy. But anyways, the Byzantines were no longer in charge of Constantinople for about 60 years. And when they came back, they started over in the city on the Asia Minor called Nicaea. So if you look at the DBA list, it's the Nicaean Byzantine list. And they eventually did come back in Constantinople. But that, anyway, so Michael Paleologus is the name of the guy, and that's the Paleologan dynasty. And they pretty much ran different variations of themselves out until 1453. So that's the flag you associate with that. That's also the flag you associate with the Paleologans, with the double-headed eagle. One of the eagles looking one way is for Europe, and the other one is for Asia. And that is one of the things that is post 1204. 1204 being kind of the date where an Armageddon of sorts happens to Constantinople. It's never the same after that. And so before that, there's a couple different things that happen with the Byzantine flags. You've got the early period during Justinian and Belisarius and all that kind of stuff. You're going to see a lot of like icons and stuff. There was a big controversy. This is Tony's short version of the Byzantine history here, and I'm right on the back of reading 2 Byzantine books, and getting ready to start a 3rd one, just so it's freaking bashed into my brain. Wargamer's perspective of Byzantine history, I should say. But the earlier period, you've got the typical stuff that you would see with you associate with Byzantine art, Virgin Mary and Child, the head of Jesus, that kind of stuff. Religious type icons that will also double as flags in the banner style. So imagine these square ones that are hung vertically instead of horizontally. And you'll see that. I mean, Little Big Man Studios and stuff like that make really, I mean, they're really neat looking stuff. At some point around, maybe around 700 AD, the time period, if you're building DBA armies, that we would call the thematic period, which is the time period when and all I'm going to do is I'm going to, while I'm running my mouth here, I'm going to modify some of these other guys and put spears in their hands. So just disregard what I'm doing here. About 700 AD, there's a little thing that happened in the Byzantine, and I highly recommend you guys looking into it, but because there is, it's really interesting. There's a lot of backstabbing and really horrible things that happen to people. Sometimes they deserved it and sometimes they didn't. But mostly just talking about the Byzantine flags and how they tie in. And what I've kind of discerned, because I'm looking at it from the standpoint of building war game armies and big fan of flags, right? So earlier period, you're going to have a lot of like icons and stuff like that. About 700 AD, might be 750, something like that. Kind of a reformation of sorts happens in the Byzantine court. And it's a little thing called iconoclasm. And iconoclasm is kind of like what you would think is maybe, and I'm going to use this because it's probably the easiest way to describe it. We're going to call them Calvinists, but not really. From the standpoint, so there's a thing with the flags and stuff. You know, you've got the saints and all those kind of things. And apparently, it wasn't, it was way over the top. It was way over to the top to the point where some of the stuff that people were doing really bordered on idol worshiping. Because it wasn't so-and-so, you know, we've got they would take, the finger of Saint so-and-so and they would bring them into battle and they would worship and venerate it and, and that kind of stuff. But it almost got to the point where people would want to lay hands on paintings of different things and almost treated, even though they were religious Christian type of articles, they were treating these inanimate objects almost like they were gods. And there was a community of people that eventually rose to power in the form of the emperor and empress that created this thing called iconoclasm. And iconoclasm, basically what they did is they took all of these idols and things that religious artifacts and basically took a torch to them. And I would imagine during that period, the Byzantine flags became a more basic shape. In other words, you wouldn't have the gold encrusted banner of the Virgin Mary with child and things like that. You would do a more basic, simple Byzantine style cross and things like that. That's just what I'm thinking is what happens. And there's these bouts of, it goes back and forth several times. The iconoclasts get in power and they put all these measures in, and of course the Orthodox people in the church aren't really keen about that. They attribute the change of lots of bad things happened to the Byzantine military for a few years, and then they attributed that to basically the God punishing them for the idol worshiping. So they go in and they melt all these icons down and stuff like that. And then the other guys get back in power and they bring the idols back, and it goes backwards and forwards several times for about 200 years. So the period around 700 AD to maybe like around 900, 950, you're going to have these bouts of things going back and forth. So in that period, that I would not, if I was doing a thematic, depending on what period you're doing, I would not use like the portrait type stuff. I would use something a little bit more simple. And when you start getting into the Komnenan dynasty, is they use a simple type of cross with different a banner with different strips or legs on it, depending on how big the army is. So the bigger the army, the more of the tails on the flag. And it's generally white with, well, it's one of these down here. I had it down here as one of my icons. Let's see if I can show it down there to you. Yeah, there you go. That's like a period flag of the. Oh, I didn't realize I had somebody waiting. Just a moment. So anyways, there's a Comnenian Byzantine type period. So you're looking at something that's kind of simple. So I love double-headed eagle stuff. It happens to be on my personal heraldry, so I'm a big fan of that stuff. But that's like a Paleologan type thing. So joining the conversation at backstabbing, horrible things happening to people. What fresh hell have I stumbled into? My bigger video is frozen. Yeah, I can't. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Let's see what this. It's the damn drones. Can the Ukrainians finally win and be done with the damn drones? It's really messing up the. Stream quality is good. Experiencing issues. I don't know. I don't know how to make it better. Main video frozen. Didn't do it. I swear I'm innocent this time. It was all Rick's fault. Is Rick lurking around here somewhere? Let's see. Let me try something else and see if that works. And I'm not. Okay, the big one is. No. The big one is. That one. Let's bring it back up. I hate technology. Connection will be stopped. Well, it's not freaking working. All right, let's. All right, let's see if we can bring this back up. I don't know if I'm going to be successful. Starts being a pain in the ass. I'll just go to one camera. Drones. Okay, let's bring up this. Close this. Bring up this. Start. Okay, is it moving now? Jeez, Louise. All right. Let's try this again. Why did I get out the hornblower figure and Rick pops up? You know what? That hornblower guy is going to look awesome. He really is. Now, he is an old school piece of crap looking figure. Nobody's going to give him the time of day. But he is going to be awesome. He's going to have a shiny ass horn. So, anyhow. So what was I saying? So yeah, there's some cool Byzantine flags, but so this particular flag is going to be. I saw a print of it. I can't bring up a picture of it right now. of what it's going to be. But it's going to be a simple cross, and it's probably either going to be on a black background or a purple or a dark blue background with like a gold cross. So we're not going to do any crazy Madonna and Child type images, even though I really do like those. We're going to save those for when we do like a Belisarian army. But yeah, the icon thing was really out of control. It wasn't so much that, you know, we don't want to see the you know, we find it offensive to see, you know, the visualization of saints or something like that. It's people were literally praying to the stuff, and they would, you know, it was like crazy. It was like fanboy stuff. So I had no idea. All right, this should be able to, I think it's going to fit through here. I don't think I need to use a bigger one than that. But what do I know? Okay, well, we can go in and drill a bigger one. This is just a pilot hole. So we got two of these guys. We got a couple different poses here we can do. This is another one. This one's going to be kind of a rather pain in the butt to... Well, let's try one. Let's see how difficult this is going to be to shave this thing off. Dun, 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 dun. Can't stay long. Wednesday night's the only night of the week I watch a TV show live, and I need to get to dinner. Maybe back for a few. Just want to say hi. What TV show is it that you work? Mr. Studio, welcome. Wolf Gaming Store. Or is it Wolf Gaming Shop? What are those two? From Malaysia. The land of Matchbox cars. What did we determine? Hot Wheels were from there too? Not only can we not make our cars in America, we can't make toy cars in America either. I got no problem. I have no problem dealing with Malaysia. It's no problem. The Easter weekend, I traveled to go visit a friend of mine's store in Oldsmar, which is just outside of Tampa. And on the way there, he actually has a storefront in a flea market. And I know what you're thinking, man, that must be a crummy store, but his store is actually really nice. The flea market is actually really nice for a flea market. And for those of you who do not know what a flea market is, that is just kind of a big garage sale that people bring their wares to, and they have junk. But this actually place is extremely nice. And if you wanted to get any kind of Matchbox car known to man, that would be the place to get it. They have an unopened. They have them all kinds of loose. I mean, you could spend. I mean, there's so many there by so many different vendors. It's crazy. So I was actually. If I was on the Gaslands kick at the time, I probably could have gotten myself into trouble. Spent a lot of time there. Looking at that. Let's see if we can chop some of this off without damaging the shield. And if this ends up being really cumbersome, we won't use this pose again for this purpose of drilling this out. I just want to prevent this being an issue later on when I'm done with the figure. You know, you get the figure, you put it on the stand, and the next thing you know, you bend the spear off and break it. Now you've got a nicely painted figure with no spear in it. That is just unsatisfactory. Now, this alloy is actually kind of soft, which makes me think these figures are kind of old. But anyways, if you want to see some real crazy stuff about who gets blinded, whose nose gets cut off and stuff like that, Byzantine history is very interesting. It's also extremely complicated, but multifaceted. Great. Broke. That's not good. I don't have a ton of these. All right, let's get another one. Well, let's go ahead and put the bigger one in. These two guys that... Okay. Probably too big. I'm not going to have much of a hand left over after that. All right, something in between this one. Maybe this one here. There we go. Okay, he's good to go. Next guy. Oh, that's the new one. Oh, we got to drill this guy out before we do it. There's already a hole in there. Some of these drill bits have the front of the bit is totally flat, and it makes it damn near impossible to do anything with that. Watching TV live. What's that like? It's hard to believe we did all that. Okay, there's the one for him. Oh, Hot Wheels in Thailand. Oh, Hot Wheels in Thailand and Matchbox is in Malaysia, huh? Now both videos are frozen and it's audio only. Well, it's moving on mine. Oh well. You know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it because there's nothing I can do. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for these problems. Maybe there's just too many people on the internet these days. There's no one here. That was my wife a little while ago that was telling me she was going to leave to go run some errands. So there's no one here using my bandwidth. Actually, I did a speed on it. It's not a bandwidth issue. It's just too many people are putting unimportant stuff on YouTube. We're trying to, teach people about Byzantine history. Kevin, welcome back. Welcome back. This jams so much, I'd just do a Discord channel. However the hell you do that. I am not a technology person. Not because I'm anti-technology. They just keep changing the technology too often. I'm not going to keep up with the Joneses type thing. little divot you can put this thing to keep it from sliding. It's too small. And this one's going to be too big, isn't it? I take damn near the whole hand with me. Well, this you just got to keep trying and look, getting it from another angle. I know last time I used these drill bits, it was a pain in the ass. Nice thing is I got plenty of these figures, so if I screw up enough of them, I should still have enough left that I could pull this off. There we go. And of course this one's going to look really small because he's holding it farther down. Okay. Good. Let's do another one of those guys. Oh, this is yet another pose. Okay. Which one's this one? This is this guy holding at an angle. All right, cool. Yeah. It looks like the video's working on mine, but who knows? Who knows? You know, when I don't have any problem is when I run it all through the phone. But then you don't have 1080. You have crappy 720 resolution. Not because the phone can't handle it, just because YouTube decides, oh, you're using a mobile connection? Well, we'll just dumb you down at 720. Yeah, the drones are using all the bandwidth on the internet. I don't know. Is that war still going on? I don't. Tells you how much I pay attention to it. There we go. So we need 8 figures. If we do 10 of each, it's probably perfect. And I'm using these lighter spear guys. Lighter armed spear guys. They don't have any chainmail or anything. Another army full of beards. A lot of beards in this army. So unless you're doing one of those early lists, all those cool little Big Man Studios flags and banner sheets aren't really that useful for a Byzantine army. Because that's what they make. The ones they make are really cool looking. They're just not for the correct period. I mean, if you want to be really particular about it, I mean, I'm going through great lengths of trying to be as accurate as I can, so might as well try. Okay. All right, there's two of that one. This guy holding it up, and then here is yet another pose. This guy's hand's about to break off. Maybe that's not a good pose to drill out, since it already looks like he's got... Oh yeah, look. I don't know if you could see that. Right here, his wrist. It's almost like miscast. Yeah, we're not going to replace the spears on those guys. That's... Nothing good is going to come from that. Let's do another one of these guys. Now I'll try to take the whole little bit of the spear out of the hand. Just use it as something that's just reinforced. Now this one's going to be too big to... Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's not. Cut through one of these hands before, and it took out a third of the hand, and it's okay as long as it gives you a place to... Speaking of which, gives you a place to put that spear. Should be all right. A little bit of epoxy on that should hold it in place. Yep. Put that together with that. Okay, we got one of those. That's this one. Not the guy holding it up in the air straight. This guy. This one's already broken. Might as well use that one. The softer rollers gum up their troll bit. Yeah, they do. They sure do. I used to hate the newer alloys because I'm like, man, it's too difficult to bend back. And the problem is it, I didn't realize at the time was that it just keeps it from bending in the first place. So if you have a harder alloy, yeah, it's a pain to bend back, and you could possibly break the figure. But sometimes any little like sneeze by a fly doesn't cause the metal to bend. So in the long run, you're better because you just avoid it having that issue to begin with. Now, I'm going to have to try to use a small one for a pilot hole. For pilot hole purposes. Man, this is so small. It's too flimsy. This one's way too flimsy. Oh boy, 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 boy. Some of these other ones I just can't use because they're flat on the front. Like most of these. This one may not be. It's damn near in the center. Yeah, it's time consuming, but if you do it right, you shouldn't have to do this again. That was a tiny bit small. Let's try to give this one a shot. This is what takes patience, not painting shit. Painting shit's easy. Painting shit just takes time. It just takes time, and you can't give up, or you can't give up, or the little bastard wins. You have an early Byzantine army, museum miniatures, too big. They're all over the place. Museums have guys that are all over the place. They've got horses that are too small, figures that are too big, figures that are too small. Just all over the place. Okay, we got 2 of every figure now. I'll tell you what, I got to do 2 more. I'm not going to do this one because I got to carve shit out for him. So we'll leave that alone. This is the one with a bad wrist? No. This is one I haven't, this is this one. Okay, so we'll do one of them, and we'll do, that's the one with a bad wrist. And we'll do one of these that's holding up in the air like you just don't care. Okay. I could use one of these guys that's armored, but he's funky looking. This guy had a different, what is it with the cheekbones, man? Whoa. What is it with the cheekbones? These guys have some Mondo cheekbones. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with this one. Chop, chop. And then we can clean these guys up. Put them on a stand. Black base them, and then we'll look at probably painting the 2 Soloi first. The 2 Soloi figures, I should say. Now, let's switch this over to the small one. Which honestly didn't do much for me. Okay. You got to brace it underneath with something, otherwise you'll end up bending this hand over. Okay, I think I can do this one. That one has a bit of a round bit towards the front. It can eat some of this away. Oh shit. There we go. My connection off the computer died. Screen froze. Yeah, it's acting up. There's no doubt about it. Harder alloy is more expensive, however, they allow much finer details when casted. Man, you're a smart guy. I didn't pick that up when I met you. Hey, we all have our knowledge base. I had some things I just don't want to. We're getting some rain, actually? No. I know several years ago, people were like, "Oh, you got to get into 3D printing. You got to get into 3D printing." I'm like, I don't have the right mindset for that. I can be patient when like this, but the whole idea is I'm making steady progress. You know, I don't have any high expectations where I've got to get this done by a certain time. You know, but dealing with computer-related things where all of a sudden something happens and I lose everything I've done, Yeah, it's not a good fit for me. That's not a good fit for me. As this is, I'm making progress even though it's really slow. But we will get there. We'll get there or we'll build a different army. You can't go to a store to buy drill bits anymore. The ones you get online, you don't know what you're going to get. And of course, we're dealing with stuff that's really, really small. Perfect. And do the same thing with this one. Twirl on the edge of that X-Acto knife blade pretty much worked better than anything else. As the pilot hole, so to speak. Okay. Now these guys have the spears upright. I don't want to put them all the way on the ground or it's going to look like the spear isn't high at all. I'd like to put it here, resting somewhere here on his pant leg. So I think I've got a couple of poses of this. We're going to just we're going to create a little notch here. A little shelf. Just something that the spear can sit on. Because when we epoxy the living shit out of this, it'll have something to sit on. Exactly, something like that. Okay, so he's good to go. Now, what is the other pose that's the same as that one? This dude right here. All right, so let's create a little ledge for him. Paul Howard. I understand the Byzantines had some sophisticated mechanical designs for a pre-industrial civilization. They even made it into an online publication of a 1901 manual on carpentry. Wow, I'm taking your word for that. It doesn't have any weapons, so I'm not interested. I'm a pacifist every day, so that's why I'm a war gamer. I like to play war games because I don't hurt I shouldn't say I don't hurt a fly. Yeah, I do. When you see one, I'm a pacifist every day, but on the board game table, I am guilty of war crimes. Carpentry, huh? Okay, those three guys are good to go. That's these right here. Now, where's our resting spot going to be for this guy? This one may end up being on the ground. Oh, we could do it right here on the knee also. Okay, which you don't even need to notch anything for that. Okay. And then this guy here, same thing. Okay. And then 2 there. All right. Let's pick up all these things now. No, 2 hit the ground. No, they didn't. They hit the chair. And here's the other one. Man, it's tiny. We got some pieces parts here. And a lid. All right. Let's grab us some pennies. We need 8 pennies. I don't feel like sanding anything down. I've done enough work related to these today. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Gotta find a use for pennies. You found something funny. I'm not sure what it is. Heard museum managers, but I've never seen them for sale online. Do they have a working website? They do, but somebody commented to me on a video that I did yesterday that that the codes are all wrong. Now, one of the things that they do, probably the most annoying thing that they do, even more than inconsistency in their figures, because there's some figures that are just massive, and there's some figures that are just small. Now, I think the situation when they have a new range of figures called the Z range, and I believe they're designed with a computer, and they're more consistent in their size, but the old figures are all over the place. And it's really strange because it's all the same sculptor. So you would think, okay, well, they're using multiple sculptors. Different guys see the world differently, but that's not the case. It's all the same sculptor. And some of the things that are smaller shouldn't be smaller. So for instance, one of the largest figures I have on there, I have a pack of like Asian villagers. And they're like massively huge figures. And well, that's really inappropriate on several levels, you know, but we're just going to put a little squirt of super glue. I use super glue because it dries quick and I don't have to worry about it. Now, I use it just to temporarily attach the figure. I don't use it to attach the spear. I use epoxy for that. So let's make sure that we clean the flash off these guys. And that they sit up here relatively straight. Got it. You. Go away. Okay, this guy. Same boat. You go away. Some people hate Old Glory figures. They used to come in these huge bags of 50 figures, which is really annoying if you only need 2 figures of something. About 48 figures you don't need. But they've since gone to those 24 figure packs now. But they had multiple different poses. So you weren't stuck with, only one pose per figure. All right, let's go ahead and put this away. We can put the rest of these Armenians away. I'm not really interested in 3D printing. It's difficult enough to print on paper sometimes. Yeah, I'm not interested in 3D printing either. First of all, where are all the 3D printers made? That's what I thought. And I don't buy things from there. So, we're done. I don't need to. I just assume buy it from somebody who has that business. That's what they do. The people that can 3D print, they can't paint. I can paint, I don't 3D print. As Nordic Maelstrom says, I can't be into everything. Wise words. I don't want to be into everything. Not enough of me to go around. Okay. Now, we're not going to attempt to epoxy these down. We'll probably do that at some later point. I do need to get some beverage because I tend to talk a lot and I dry out. So I will be right back. I'm not even going to pause the video. We're just going to mute the microphone and we'll be right back. Oh, another update. So I was down to one of these, one of the painting papers here. And I went and online to see Red Grass Games hydration papers. Ooh, fancy name for, you know, parchment or whatever the hell this is. But I didn't want to just go to the grocery store and get parchment paper. I want to get the stuff that's actually for this, that's cut the right size and everything. And I know how it's going to behave and so forth. So I go online and they want like $8 for a pack of 50 of them. $8.50, something like that. Plus shipping. So it ends up being like $18 for 50 sheets. Which actually sounds really expensive, because it kind of is. Although it would last me, 2 years or something like that. So I decided to go on Amazon. And on Amazon, same thing available. The seller is even called Red Grass Games, and there it's only $8 with Prime. So, the subsidized shipping in there. So, I didn't think I was gonna. I was just gonna buy another whole set that comes with 50 of these for like, I think it was like $27. You could get another one of these with the foam and everything, and 50 sheets for $28. Or you could buy just the 50 hydration papers for $18. It didn't make any sense, but for $8, yeah, I'll just get the papers just for $8. That should work just fine. So, yeah, I don't know what Amazon's doing. But they definitely make it. And it's even from the same seller. So it's not like it's some knockoff seller. All right. We got some black and we got some other colors here. Let's grab the two Saloy. Grab the two Saloy. We got some water here. Let's get the magic juices going. There's my magic juice container. Here we go. Yep, there's still some in there. Make sure these guys are fully painted black everywhere they're supposed to be, and they're not. And I even think this has a little bit of flash here. Let me take my X-Acto knife. Well, I need to get like 7 more subscribers and we'll be at 1,500, so that's pretty cool. Maybe we'll do a tour or something of the area here at 1,500. I don't know. I thought I was going to do it at 1,000. The problem with 1,000 is when I hit 1,000, it was like amazing, because then I could go on live. So I was focusing all my attention on that, and it just kind of got away from me. Maybe we'll do something special for 1,500, because 2,000 is going to take a while to get up there, if we even do. Even if we do get up to that level, which is difficult because this isn't just a wargaming channel of all kinds of different war games. This is pretty limited in scope. So I'm not going to start working on things I'm not particularly interested in, because that's just going to sidetrack me. All right, so there's that guy. These are a pair of Old Glory figures from their 11th to 13th century range. I believe it's under, actually it's not under Crusades, it's under Dark Ages, I think, or something like that. Get these spots underneath here that we missed when we were painting. And then we'll take a look at some pictures on how other people have painted these Saloy. I'm thinking they're going to be a really light color. This guy looks like he's got some boots on. it's hard sometimes for some people to give you ideas of some figures because they just aren't important. You know, nobody's running around wanting to see what the hell these skirmishers look like. They're not too worried about that. But they do have type of a gnome type hat. I imagine that would be some kind of a brown or something like that. They have a little buckler. Do both have them? Just this guy has a buckler. Just this guy has a buckler. Let's rinse that and see what comment we have before we dive in. Found your tiny lead and plastic mountain a few days ago. Right on top, my dice collection. Polyhedral dice. What will we do without them? Yeah, polyhedral dice sounds like dice with tons of sides on them, like 10s and 20s and things like that. There are lots of games that use 20-sided dice. And I actually like them, other than the fact they're not very forgiving to roll on a table. You definitely need a flat surface for them to roll on. All right, let's bring Mr. Mouse up. Move this off to the side, move this off to the side. You guys aren't going to be able to see what I'm seeing, but I have saved all kinds of things onto my Pinterest account, which is kind of a weird thing to use, but it's actually really handy because it gives you a place to store things that you can access from all kinds of different places without having to download them per se. All right, and we should have a board here. And see if I have anything even remotely looks like a skirmisher. If not, we're going to wing it. Let me see if I can get away with doing this, because this would be kind of nice little artwork to have on here. Let's do this. Let's right click. Let's save this image as this. Save. Okay, now we're going to go and add Mr. Steven, welcome. This image here. What's this image down here? Okay, the Polish one. So let's replace that. Let's see. I should be able to... let's remove that. You should want to remove image 1. Yeah. Okay, let's create a plus. A new source. An image. Add source. Add new source instead. We're going to call this Komnenen. Add source. And then we're going to browse. And I should be able to find it here. Here it is. Open it. Okay. That's cool. We got to make that a little bit smaller though. Here are some of the Byzantine flags of this period. In particular, the one that the banner bearer is carrying there, that is the flag that we're going to, well, you see it in the other corner as well. I'm not sure if it's kind of like a faded red or actually like pink. And, but that's what the general is going to carry. Not this one. This is going to be the emperor for Romanos the Fourth Diogenes. Who? It's the guy who was the commander at Manzikert. And when we get this army done, we're probably going to try to create a Manzikert scenario, which is kind of the beginning of the end. The end of the beginning of the end for the Byzantines. It's more of the end of the beginning, I would say. You've pre-ordered Redgrass Palette 2.0. It's supposed to ship mid-May. Look forward to using it. Really? 2.0, what's different? What's different in the 2.0 version? Okay, this is image 2. We can hide that one. We can take this image over here. We can make it smaller. Okay, cool. Well, that took a lot less time to do it than the last time I tinkered with it. Anyways, I saw that image. Let's go back to my Pinterest account here and see. And see if there's anything even remotely looking like Saloy. No, nothing jumps out at me. Oh, here we go. Of course, they don't have little hats. Okay, I'll go with that. So they've got like brown, red-brown type boots, blue pants, a white overcoat, and the little hat. It's not listed on there what it is, but it's kind of yeah. I like how that looks. Okay, that's what we're gonna go with. And I've looked in my books, and there's no idea for the skirmishers what they have. So I guess it's not that important. All right. Well, we should be able to. Great. What did we do? Lose it? Oh, here it is. Let's make it big. And put this over here. All right. I believe this army covers just before the Crusades. This is the army that lost at Manzikert. It is. It is, and we're going to morph it into the Comnene Byzantine as well. So, for instance, the cavalry elements we're going to use for both armies. All right. So let's get us a white. And you might as well not use white. You might as well use kind of an off-white color. So maybe something like even gray. This gray would be fine. What's this one hiding over here? Oh, this is the stone. Really? We're that far off? Yeah, something like this is fine. We're going to lighten it with white anyway, so. About this one. Silver gray. No. Silver gray is the color we got to use for. We're using for the Castle Bran collection because it's mostly of D10. They stop rolling nicely. You can still use them. Easily resolve mass combat figures. One figure gives a soldier scale. I use percentile all the time, so I like D10s. Pinterest is great for storing examples of how to paint the armies you're working on. Yep. Yeah, and you can access it from your phone, computers in different places. It's handy. Some of the stuff is wrong though, so you kind of have to know what you're looking at. You can't just go like, well, here it says that this is a so-and-so, and that might actually be what it is. But it's that way with a lot of things on the internet. You kind of have to have a clue what you're looking for and not assume that you're being fed correct information. All right, and one of these. Yeah, I picked up my desk area and everything's in the wrong place. That'll teach me. All right. Let's start with this clown. We got 45 minutes in us. I'm going to stop at 9. But what we're going to do is when we're done with these two figures, we're going to go ahead and base them. So we have an idea of what the groundwork on this army is going to look like. Because the plan is to do this groundwork kind of Middle Eastern looking. It's not going to look as arid as the Amorites. It's going to be arid looking to a degree. What is that? A sword? A sheath that's there? The sheik of sheath. Got another one of these a little bit more detailed. I'll keep that one handy just the same. Thought I did. Nordic Maelstrom, you're back. Oh, you missed all kinds of stuff. So what's this show you're watching live? And remind me, how do you watch a show live? How is it that you're watching a show live? I can't remember the last time I did. Oh, we don't have cable or anything, so. I can't be into everything, Nordic. Can't be into everything. You don't know what's different in 2.0? Probably designed to get painters using 1.0 to buy another palette. I have to search that out, see if it looks different. Are you running 1.0 right now? Byzantines, after they lost at Manzikert, had to abandon their core territories in Asia Minor. They rebounded, but never could recover. Yeah. Tony, call me crazy, but I am contemplating dabbling in World War II naval combat, and instead of using miniatures right now, using cardstock with printout of the ships glued to it. That's not crazy. There's actually some companies that make some really nice things already that you could buy the top view of the figure of the ships. Conical hat is probably felt pilos. Metal version was also made. Yeah, probably like a dark brown, right? Dark brown, medium brown. That's what I'm gonna go with. Maybe a little bit of yellow in it. It's probably designed by the aristocracy, making these commoners look stupid. Hey, we want you to fight, and oh yeah, by the way, wear this silly thing on you, so we'll feel superior to you. Yeah, boss. Okay, boss. So some of the Byzantine spearmen, I was reading that they used red and blue really prominently. But we don't have any spearmen just yet. They'll be in the Komnenon list. Yeah, I'm looking forward to putting these guys on a base and seeing what it looks like. So we're going to use an arid ground color, but we're going to have some green on it. I may not put any static grass on it at all. We just use shrubbery. You know what? Before I get too far along, I'm going to look in one other place. I probably won't find anything inspirational in here, but I'll at least said that I did. And that's in here, which of course is just other people's interpretation beyond the Golden Gate. And they've got pictures in the middle section of some people's interpretation of some of the figures. I bet skirmishers won't be in there, because nobody seems to give a shit about them. Caliphates the Rus. Contoratoi. No, they don't have any late type of skirmishers. It's fine. Well, the show is going on, but I figured I do two things at once. I can't do that. It's a wrestling show, and if I don't watch it live, it will be spoiled. They rebounded, but never could recapture the lost lands for any long period of time. You're right. You're right. Gotta admit, this is not a very good looking figure. He's one of these bug-eyed looking dudes. Hey, I didn't design them. All right, we need some blue pants. We're looking for like a medium type blue. Oh, I know what I need. I need this. You know, Gandalf looked pretty impressive in that pointy hat in the Lord of the Rings movies. I never did see The Hobbit. I was waiting to watch it with my daughter. My daughter didn't want to see it. She wouldn't want to see the third Lord of the Rings movie, and I really can't blame her. It was pretty boring. I've seen them before. Just not my thing. I didn't like the Christopher Lee guy. I think that was the point. You weren't supposed to like him. I actually don't really like Christopher Lee. I don't. He just reminds me of somebody who shouldn't be around kids. Well, we don't have that problem anymore. But wasn't a fan of his. Here we go. Oh, watery hell. Mix, 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 mix. I'll change up Maelstrom saying, well, I can't like everybody. I can't be into everybody. Is that appropriate use of your saying there? And the other skirmisher was going to be painted the same way as this guy. They're wearing kind of a uniform in my army here. Belisarius was the man. Yes, he was. And he's a better man than me because I would have taken out Justinian. Justinian was a major dick. My third time reading about him, and I can't stand that guy. I don't give a shit how many beautiful things he did. He was a dick. But yes, Belisarius was the man. You're absolutely right. Yeah, some people you read about that you're like indifferent about, and some people you read about you're like, I don't like that person at all. And he's one of them. Guy helps you out, and you're some paranoid turd that you end up exiling him and firing him and taking shit away from him, and then you feel like you need him again, and then you bring him back, and somehow the guy forgets you that his boss screwed him. Better man than me. I remember grudges. I remember people that did me wrong. Okay, until next time, enjoy your wrestling show. It's a good book, if I recall. Nice pictures and such. It is a nice book. The terrain is rocking, rolling hills with bushes and the trees are mainly along the stream courses. Villages are located, river valleys where farms are located. Yeah. That rain? Sure sounds like it. Man, we could use it. Grass is looking kind of rough. The books were better. Yeah, that's what everybody says. That's what everybody says. So, because of the stuff that I read and because of the stuff that I watch, it's really unusual that they would make a book about something, they would make a movie about something I read. But there is one series that I've seen the movies and I read the books that I can compare the two. And that series is Jurassic Park. There's only 2 books. I read them both, or as I like to say, I had them read to me. And I've seen all 5 movies. You know, really, I guess it's the first 2 movies. And I've got to say, I think the movies are better than the book. And the book focuses too much on raptor shit. And the movies focus enough on the raptor stuff as it is, but as a childhood dinosaur fan, I don't give 2 shits about frickin' raptors. You know, they're not some monstrous creature. I don't care that they're smart or this, that, or the other. You know, I just want to see big animals fighting each other. You know? You know, it's like if you're watching Shark Week, that's what you want to see, sharks. You don't give a shit about piranhas. Doesn't matter that piranhas are more deadly or whatever. But I've done the books through Audible. They're one of the few things I've listened to. They're one of the few fantasy things I've listened to. I don't know, is Jurassic Park fantasy or science fiction? I don't know. We need to get some white out here. How the hell do we not have white? White. You're totally excited about your Byzantines. I bet you are. You bet you are. So we're going to do Constantinian so I could fight better than him. There's no way I could do worse than that guy. I want to get one of the guys. I got to find out. I may end up doing the commander too. I want to get a guy that's one of the guys that's a ducas. So I can say, oh, I got to go take a ducas. Just for that. That's the whole purpose. You know, ducas being one of the main families. Romanos IV Diogenes, that's who this guy's going to be. And then, of course, we're going to do... I'm not a huge fan of Alexios. I'm not. He's considered a greatest general. He's on the... Phil Barker's a brilliant general list. I don't know that... I mean, he was brilliant from the standpoint of using diplomacy. But actually, like on a battlefield, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely better than King John, who is on Phil Barker's list. Nobody can understand that one. Why the hell King John's on there, but... not a huge fan of Alexios. Maybe because I'm partial to I'm partial to Bohemond. And I'm partial to those bastard Normans that came in and were so... adventuring Normans. People in the UK's heads are spinning if they're awake. People in the UK hate Normans, but I think they're cool. And oh yeah, it's raining like a mother. That's good. That's really good news until we lose power. Oh, I said it. Did it happen? Hey, if I lose power, you'll see what happens. We got too much rain. I didn't think we were supposed to have rain today. But I'm a fan of Manuel because that's my middle name. So, and he's the one that reorganized the list to be knight, to have the heavy cavalry be knights or hard charging. I'll be right back. I'm not even going to pause it yet. Be right back. Okay, we're back. Yeah, I know Marco's happy that I'm doing Byzantines. Although, I don't know. Byzantines, I don't really think of Byzantines as Greek. I mean, they are, but they're more than that. You know, I think Greek things. I'm thinking, you know, Athenians and stuff like that. Byzantines are much more than that. Manuel was awesome. Well, he went right in, didn't he? He didn't sit back. There's not that many Byzantine rulers that went into battle. I mean, Belisarius was awesome, but he wasn't the ruler. Heraclius was. Heraclius was badass. That guy was freaking badass. To be all the way up against the ropes, and he came back. And you know who got screwed was the guy. I forget which guy one. I forget which one it was. Was it Khosrow? That was the Persian emperor at the time, because they had freaking the Byzantines on the ropes. They had taken all of Egypt and everything. And the next thing you know, Heraclius builds up an army and just ignores them, the fact that they're being besieged, and goes around and hits them in their capital, starts burning their own shit down, and pulls it off. And the next thing you know, you cut to the next scene that Khosrow ends up getting taken out by his own people. Yeah, Heraclius was badass. What's really confusing, because I just finished my second book on the Byzantines. What's really confusing is there's these guys that come up and you know that they're going to be conqueror type guys, okay? And I'm going to mention two of them, and they're kind of in the in-between period. One of them is Nicephorus, and the other one is Basil, okay? And those were two guys that went on the offense. Around 900 or so. 900, 1000 AD. You're going through this history of the Byzantine Empire kind of chronologically. The first time they mention Nicephorus, you're like, all right, we're going to get into some battles. The problem is, that's the first Nicephorus. And the same thing happens with Basil. Because those two guys that you think, those are the offensive guys that kick ass, they're the second of each one of those versions. So it's Nicephorus the second, and it's Basil the second. Those two are the guys that freaking kick ass. So, you know, it's kind of like, oh, here they come. And they're like, no, that's not that guy. It's another guy. But, yeah, Heraclius was badass. Belisarius was super badass, and Justinian was a dick. Belisarius was more of a man than I would have been. I would have taken that dick out. I would have fallen into the trap. Hey, Normans brought Mott and Bailey castles to England. Tommy Atkins should love them. The Normans made English food better. Just imagine how bad English food would be if the Normans would have never invaded. Yeah, I went there. Ankylosaurus is the best dinosaur. Justinian's wife was better. Set up paradigms with the Venetians would haunt the empire. The Venetians would sell their mother for a coin. Greek and Byzantines are my pride and joy. I included every single option, including 6 bases of 6 cav. Well, don't think I won't do them. Don't think I won't do those guys. Maurice got screwed, though. He got screwed big time. They took him out and blinded him, and the blinding didn't go away. That guy didn't deserve that. Just what? Because he was a cheapskate? He rebuilt the army, and he came up with all these treatises and all this stuff, and he didn't want to do enough celebrations and spend coins, so they took him out. Killed his whole damn family. Not cool. Focus took him out. There's another dick. But everybody knows he's a dick. It's different if you take somebody like Justinian, like, oh, he's great, he built these nice churches. Yeah, but he was an asshole. You take somebody that nobody likes, it's different. You kind of expect that from those people. Old Focus. So I'm ready to read another third Byzantines. I figure if I read enough of these back to back to back to back, a lot of these characters are just going to be second nature to me. It's already a lot better after the second one around, but... yeah, you read about some of these characters, I'm like, man, I don't like that guy. Or here's that guy again I don't like. Who's the Empress is supposed to be really pretty? Zoe or Eudokia? I think it was Eudokia. It's really interesting. It's really, really interesting. Some of this stuff. So are you an iconoclast or or what's the other? What's the opposite of it? Iconoclast or I forget what it is. You're pro or anti? I have no idea that people venerated them in that way. I just figured I like the art, but you know, kissing the freaking things and taking chips of the paint for good luck, and you know, that's a little extreme. Ultrasaurus' rock. I agree. Ankylosaurus is bad. Ankylosaurus is awesome. He's a big. Turtles are awesome. He's a battle turtle. Yeah. Too many battles, too many usurpers. That's right. Normans, just more Vikings. They're cool Vikings. Basil II was badass too. What book on the Byzantines? By the way, they call themselves I just can't call them Romans. They're their own thing. You know? Which book? All right, crap. Well, I did the one, actually I've done several. The one I just finished is called Lost to the West by don't know who. It was okay. I haven't found one that I love because it's just such a huge topic. I've tried to read the book by Robert Graves on Belisarius, and it just has too much made up fluff conversations, you know. So I kind of lost interest because I'm just like reading is what I'm reading just made up shit that's just didn't really happen at all, you know. But yeah, definitely a Belisarius fan. But man, that guy he needed to stand up for himself a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Justinian was just an ungrateful bastard. And then he replaced him with Narses, and then Narses ended up getting killed too. You know, the man with the castrated eunuch. Is there any other kind? Interesting stuff. So just like I'm going to do the Constantinian that will morph into, and I'm saying morph because a lot of the units are similar. Like the heavy cavalry is going to be the same. I'm going to make them all the same, whether they're for the earlier, the later Comnene, and I'm just going to do the same figures. I'm going to do the same thing when I get around to doing the Belisarian one. We'll do the Belisarius, and it will morph into the Heraclean, the heavy cavalry, and some of that stuff will be the same. We'll do kind of that all at the same time. I don't know that I'm going to roll from this into the other one. It might be a little bit too much Byzantine, but I do have the enemies for them of that period. So, although I don't see myself ever getting Vandals. That is just all heavy cavalry. That just seems ridiculous and silly. I'm not going to build a all-night army, which honestly I think it's kind of weird. I don't think that that's accurate, that their entire army would be every single person mounted as heavy cavalry. But hey, that's what the Book of Barker saith. All right, let's Let's paint this guy's bow. Let's paint this guy's bow. Who's the guy with the golden nose? You know, they sliced your nose off so you can't be the emperor, and they ended up sending this guy away, and then he came back with his golden nose. Was it Justinian II? Right there at the late 600s. And they got another guy that didn't have good PR, so they called him so-and-so, the shit named or something. The dung named or something. Oops. Be nice to your historians or they're going to call you names after you're dead and there's nothing you can do about it. So-and-so the dung named. True story. I don't make this up. I don't need to. The story's good enough by itself. So-and-so the dung named. But again, this is why I do historical gaming, because I'm learning shit, you know? I'm learning things that really happened in the process while I'm, you know, playing a game. And I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. All right. But anyways, guys that led from the front, got Heraclius, Alexios did, Nicephorus. Nicephorus is a badass too. Of course, the problem with Nicephorus is he, you know, his nephew was badass too, who was, if I had not watched if I had not listened to the book, I would not know how to pronounce his name. John, God, I forgot it again. John Symmachus? Is it Symmachus? I think is how you say his name. That was his his nephew, and his nephew was another commander too. He was badass, but he ended up taking out his uncle out. That's not very cool, you know. I think you say his name's Symmachus. Those two guys are brilliant generals, I believe, according to Phil Barker. The list of brilliant generals, according to Phil Barker. Yeah, it's not cool to take out your family members, man. That's not very respectful. The Storm Before the Storm on the Late Republic blew my mind. Reread that book. I didn't love it. I thought his series on the Rome well, of course it's a lot longer, was a lot better. I just kind of, kind of did that. So speaking to those two guys, I'm definitely a Sulla fan over Marius. Not a fan of Marius. And then I'm reading that. I'm wondering, okay, so you've got this social war. Like, all right, well, what troops would you use to represent the other Italian city-states? Is it like a bunch of like solid auxilia? So anyways, and speaking of Sulla, there's a figure that somebody makes. I want to say it's Forged in Battle. That looks exactly like Sulla. So I could see that doing something like that. I wish DBA had separate general figures. You know, because then you could like build like, you know, little command stand with different guys on it. That'd be pretty cool. You could switch out and do different commanders. Maybe a little bit more lightener on this. So I didn't love that book because of the subject matter. I think what's his name does a really good job. I still don't think he's much fun at parties, but I think that he makes the game, he makes it pretty interesting because he narrates his own book, if I remember correctly, as he should. I mean, he did the whole podcast thing. The DBA Norman army is practically all knights, and Hastings show that to be inaccurate. Well, they're not all mounted. Yeah. Symmachus. Yeah. Symmachus. Yep. Yeah, killed his own uncle. Not cool. He overreacted. Kings and Generals is a good story, Bill. I love those channels, and there's 3 of them. There's 3 of them that I kind of lump in the same game. And, Kings and Generals is one of them. Baz Battles is another one. And the other one, I believe, is called Invicta. I could be wrong. And what I like about all those is they focus heavily on putting these counters that represent forces, sometimes with portraits, and use maps a lot. So they'll move things around. Like they did, one of those channels did a really good thing about Alexander's successors. And it showed them all moving around on the map, and I dig that because I'm a map guy, and I process stuff really well based on how it is geographically. That's how I understand it. You know, I can read like, okay, this guy was in this part, and okay, let me refer to a map. But when you're moving the counters around, especially with the portraits, or you know, portraits that we've seen many, many times, because I still get Lysimachus and Cassander. I get those 2 guys mixed up, and you know, I just hasn't been blasted into my brain that many times. And then I get Antipater and who's the other guy? The guy that took over the army right off the bat. That's not Antipater. I forget. I get those 2 guys mixed up. But anyhow, yeah, I think the successor stuff is really, really cool. The backstabbing. Okay, let's give this guy some flesh. Let's flesh this guy out. What color flesh are these Greeks? Oh, that reminds me of the thing I saw on the miniatures page many, many years ago. This guy was just being a troll before trolls were even a thing. And he started this thread. He said something along the lines of, I want to build my Japanese World War II troops, and I want to give them the skin color. It looks like the Simpsons. What color yellow should I use? And people just came unglued. Oh, man, people just... You know, there's some people just looking for a fight. And it's just like, you know, some people just need to be ignored, you know? It's okay to ignore people. But nope, these people got baited. And the next thing you know, that was a long time ago. It was probably 20 years ago when I saw that. 3.0 has a separate general unit. It does not. I wish it did. Well, okay, a separate stand, okay, a separate stand that represents the general that can attach and detach to different units. So, you know, if you had a stand that was, for instance, that was Julius Caesar, and sometimes Julius Caesar fought on foot, so he attaches himself to a blade stand, and he becomes a blade general. Or, you know, in the middle of the battle, he'll go and become something else. I think that would be cool, because then you could make your little commanders, kind of like you've seen those vignettes for Napoleonic stuff, where you've got Napoleon and his commanders looking over a map. I think that would be pretty cool to do something like that. And that's kind of what these command posts are. Like my Pope stand is that way. This command post for Romanos is going to be that way. Anyhow. So the Romanos figure is going to be, unfortunately, I've got to do them last because I have to earn painting the big guys. But I got some really interesting plans for him. That stand's going to be really, really cool. Along with him having a banner and the Varangian Guard. And which, by the way, I did not know a couple of things about these Byzantines. So apparently, the well, they call them kite-shaped shields. I call them almond-shaped shields or teardrop-shaped shields. Were developed by the Byzantines, according to one source that I read. I had no idea. Pretty early on. And the other thing I found out is the Varangian Guard. You know, those guys, the mercenary Vikings, Anglo-Saxon type guys that use the bearded axes. The long axes. They weren't axemen until after Manzikert. At that point, they were still spearmen. I mean, they had blades and stuff like that. So, the guys that are going to be on that command stand as the Varangian Guard in the Constantinian list are going to be spearmen. Of course, they're going to have some kind of a raven banner or something like that on all their shields, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I'm probably going to do an eagle, not a raven banner. A black eagle on a red background with probably white and blue trim. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. I'm paint one guy and see if he's up to snuff, and then we'll go crazy and do the rest of the guys. You know, it's only 4 spearmen that are going to be on that stand, but it's going to be a very crowded 40 by 40 stand. But that's a ways out because we got to do him last. You can't do the most colorful dude first, but we're going to do his the top of his helmet is going to be peacock feathers. So we'll be fun doing that. He's going to be all kinds of crazy colors. He's going to have red boots and gold and purple armor. I think there's an artist rendition where it did his cape kind of in a light blue, and it works really well because the horse is going to be all purple anyways. Hopefully he's going to be all nice and loud. There's going to be no doubt who that guy is. So, we will see how it turns out. It's kind of an opportunity to do a little bit of a modeling on there. This is an extremely strange